We met in high school, and we went into completely separate schools, separate states, but we stayed in touch on the internet, and I ended up going to his prom, and when he went away to college, we lost touch until I decided to attend K-State, and we reconnected and eventually started dating. 6 months into the relationship, I was contacted by an ex-boyfriend, absolutely harmless, but him, my current boyfriend, he completely overreacted, and that's how it began, with him telling me, oh, you're just gonna go run around and you're going to be out there basically being a hussy, and accusing me of all these things just because of one text conversation that he found. And then shortly after that is when he started showing aggression in ways of hitting things typically, and then he would show how mean he could be and how he was more powerful by hitting things close to my body, like by my head or just by my body in general. One time he slammed a truck and dented it right beside me.
What kind of man lays his hands on the woman he loves, calls her angel, shows no remorse in her blood? He covers her body in bruises and scars. You don't understand just how beautiful you are.
We were probably dating for a year when we went to an out-of-house party of his, and there was an argument and things escalated, and we ended up outside screaming and yelling, and I guess somebody called the police, and the policeman came, and they separated us, and they were convinced that he had been beating me, and that's why I was out there crying, not because of this argument. And I laughed him off at the time, and I'm like, no, officers. But they ended up taking me home that night just for fear. And later on, at some point, we were over at his house, like fraternity house, and he had a loft. And again, he was mad at me because he wanted to check my text messages from the last month, and I couldn't access my text online. Then that automatically meant that, of course, I was hiding something and everything else. Well, things escalated again very quickly, and he got mad at me, and he just shoved me out of the loft. And it's a pretty tall loft, and I landed on like the computer chair and stuff below, and it hurt really bad, but I was just shaking it off. You know, well, he's just really upset with me. So I decided, okay, well, I'll go up and talk to him, and he just did it again. So I ended up not leaving, but I just slept on the little couch underneath, and he laughed about it again. Everything was always laughable, like how ridiculous our fights are, and it wasn't just a little funny thing at that point. So other instances happened here and there, and things just worsened. I had tried to break it off with him several times, but when you're in an abuse cycle, they break you down so much because they make you think that you're not capable of doing anything on your own. You need them. I didn't even know who I was at this point. The only identifier I had was his girlfriend. And without that, I was nothing, and that nothing was just absolutely terrifying. But the night that I really said enough's enough, they were having a party, and the party is only in the upstairs, and his room's in the basement, and I thought that would be a good time that I could kind of go in and gather a few things of mine and leave. And so I went downstairs and I started gathering my stuff up, and then I heard the door open, and of course it's him, and he was drinking a lot, and he started in with baby please, and you know, things were always going to change. And I told him, I said, you're drunk, like I just want to get my stuff, we can talk about this tomorrow. And he just wouldn't really listen. And then at some point, I don't even know how I got myself in this position, it just, he was holding me down and, you know, please, you know, begging me, and then just trying to make out with me. And I said no, I just wanted any excuse to get out of that room, and he just wouldn't take no for an answer, and the situation escalated to where more things happened, more things than I wanted to happen. And I guess one thing I learned, it's a horrible word and I hate the sound of it, but yeah, rape happens, and it's not the rape that you think when people talk about walking home and someone's gonna jump out and get you. It's the kind that happens most often, and I'm very hesitant to even say that word, because when I was telling this story in some of my like therapy counseling things, like, she made me say the word rape because I wouldn't admit it that it was, because I mean, we were together, and there's such a stigma on so many girls who go out and cry wolf. Like, no one wants to be known as that girl, and I've really not told many people this part of the story for that reason alone. But I understand that it's rape, and we didn't really talk about it. I got my stuff and I left that night, and I never even spoke about it until that therapy, and I still didn't tell any of my friends or anybody else until just this last year.
She stands in the mirror, she looks less alive.
Oh my God, I'm so lost. I am so lost. And I went to the K-State counseling services for help with a relationship. Like, what should I do? Where should I go in my life? Like, and she actually really showed me that what was going on was not healthy. She ended up bringing somebody in from the battered women's shelter after she had tried to explain this to me, and she kept saying things like, "Kaitlin, you're making excuses for him." And they walked me through a cutout of all these signs and the reactions, and every single step of the cycle that they showed me, and every single like sign, it was me, and it just hit me hard. That was in a fall semester, and I happened to be in charge of the 2 art contests within homecoming, and I just threw myself into them and other things within my house, and I just kept continuing to go to the K-State counseling services until I felt better. It was once a week, and then eventually it was every other, and I started to get a clear vision again of who I was. And most people would never even imagine that I would put up with this, because I seem like a very strong-willed individual. But that kind of goes to show you that stuff like this happens to anybody. I know that after hearing this story, people would assume that I would be broken, but that's far from who I am. I'm actually the crazy one that you're going to see out, and the loud laugher, and the one that always has some kind of story to tell. I'm just happy with everything about me now. I'm not stressing about, oh, I have 5 pounds here, or my hair is not perfect, or anything. I can just be me and be completely okay with who that person is.